Today's AskReddit post. Rule 34 Artists of Reddit. What was it like on the first time you started drawing porn? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Sometimes I see Rule 34 commissions my girlfriend is working on and I'm just really confused why somebody wants to have a drawing of that. It's a decent side income for her and most people who commission art from her seem quite polite and reliable about paying compared to when she does other stuff like band logo commissions. They just request some really odd things. A giant robot fridge with a dick that comes out of the freezer compartment that's simultaneously screwing a furry skunk character and turning them into an ice cube was a pretty memorable why moment. Because installing a dick in your fridge is impractical. You start with your own unique style, but kinda like the Skyrim stealth archer meme. You eventually and inevitably end up drawing for furries. Probably because that's where the money is. Furries will drop thousands in a costume. Imagine what else they spend their money on. Edit. Thanks guys for making my top rated comment about furries. I'm honored. Furries are the 21st century equivalent of Renaissance patrons. Why would you say something so controversial, yet so brave? It was really embarrassing lol. I had to put down my tablet pen and just contemplate every 5 minutes because I felt like an absolute fool. You. Staring at the zoomed in picture of a dick you're drawing. Realizing that you've just spent 20 minutes carefully detailing realistic veins on that sklong. What the duck am I doing with my life? God's work. I mean, literally. Who designed the first dick? God did. He sweated every little detail. Even that red thing that comes out of it. I often used porn as a reference for drawings because it's easy to find pictures of naked people of all sizes in every imaginable posture. So it wasn't that much of a leap. It was on Danboru. You get a lot of likes and commissions. Easy money. But it gets old real quick. Don't know what people's deal is with tentacles. They always need more. I was inspired by Manara, who is a very fine artist. But he didn't only draw porn. You also start to understand things like why gynecologists aren't aroused by their work. My best friend, she's not a weeb by any stretch, has explained that tentacles in general came into hentai because penises had to be censored. So the search for something phallic that was acceptable through the censors wound up with tentacles. It kinda became its own thing from there. Tentacles are flexible in ways penises aren't, and don't block views the way bodies do. They also don't have restrictions on weight, positioning, or number, so you have a triple pen, or more, without any view obstruction, in poses that would be impossible in traditional porn involving humanoids. Edit. Come on, people. A brief glance at other comments shows that the fisherman's wife has been mentioned by upwards of 15-20 other people at this point. Stab. I also had a girl explain why she, and some of her female friends, are so into tentacles. It's a totally submissive experience, zero control, that fulfills the gangbang fantasy without feeling like a slut. Ah yes, raped by tentacles, I know this one. We've all been there. I had no idea what I was doing and drew really terrible anatomy. It really helped me realize that even for my NSFW works, perfecting a character's anatomy is very important to do before clothing them. Now it's just the same as if I was drawing anything else except I'm mildly horny during the process. Edit. I don't post anything on Reddit or under this name BTW. Just a heads up. It's a side hustle. I'm not a full-time artist or aspiring to be one. It's a hobby for me. But deadass furries put artists through college. It's a solid way to make money, but it's embarrassing. Hence why I don't tell anyone I do it, BC they'd judge me. The first time I was just kind of like, damn, has it really come to this? But now it's just a convenient way to make money. Yeah, I have a sketchbook just for my NSFW stuff and I had to label it so people won't just pick it up to look through. Got tired of explaining to friends, no, I'm not into that. I get paid to draw that. What do you label it? Commissioned furry porn. I'm not into it. It's a living. Flintstones laugh track. God, that gave me a laugh. Now imagining a pterodactyl beak dipped in ink and being used by Fred to draw dino porn for StonerHub. Posting for my since she does not use a Reddit. Pros. Money is great. Nobody bitches and whines about paying in exposure. Most clients are polite. Cons: some requests make you hate human race. You can't even mention you are a female cause they will simp all over you. Some clients can be very picky about end products details. Don't ask. If I'm paying for porn, it better be amazing porn. Just saying this. I better count the sweat and the veins of that dick if I'm paying for porn. Pure poetry. Thanks. Maybe I should start writing for porn. I was in math class and I was bored. I was trying to draw the three-titted whore from the cover of Flash Phyllis vs. the Zorg women, and suddenly I had new friends and driver's ed. They were trying to get the friend discount. Drew a stickman with one leg, 2 men, and large glasses that were not on the face. Perhaps an additional set of glasses that also weren't on the face, slightly below the extra leg. It was the other day. Someone told me to do it, and it seems I always do what I'm told. Their suggestion and my talent yielded something the world should never have seen. Well, now I wanna see. Artists can't find the right porn to jerk off to. Makes one, oh yeah. Now if art wouldn't take time and motivation, it'd be perfect. Yep, everything I see and hear points towards the effort going into a picture made even for their own tastes is hard for a lot of artists to get into. Every time you look at that picture, you just ask yourself how it could be better and recall all the time it took to draw the little details. Annoying. The first time you try to draw anatomy you've never done before, it's a pain in the ass. Boobs are surprisingly hard to make look right. Then again, some people pull a Michelangelo and staple them on and it looks awful but no one notices. Edit. Welp, now my top comment is my bitching about poorly drawn boobs on the internet. I should not be surprised. How do you staple a boob on? You use the staples. And how do you staple them on? Your instructions are not very clear. Am I supposed to use a dildo or a rubber duck? Till. I didn't need to know any of this. Just had to read it all. Can't unsee. I'm going down the rabbit hole right now. Should I venture deeper, ye wise master? Venture deep in me, daddy. I write instead of drawing, though I do follow lots of NSFW artists and spend a fair amount of time cursing their skill and my lack thereof. First time I decided to write a full hardcore story, I was on a work trip sitting idle in a hotel lobby while waiting for the next work thing to happen. While I had a lot of experience writing in general, most sex scenes were always gently wafting curtains. Turning off that filter and writing full on engorged cock and swollen tits was quite liberating. Otherwise, I was sitting at work, so it felt more or less like being a cheeky student writing swear words on the desk. Later, writing in private, the work was more inspiring. Asterisk. Once you've done it for a while, you start working off the craft a little more than off the edge. First story came out like dirty talk during sex. Lots of focus on using sexy words, overly gratuitous moaning noises, stuff like that. Stories nowadays go a little more like dirty talk while having breakfast the next morning. Deleted. Morality is relative. Commissions are horrid. In the furry community, I'd rather get covered. The requests are disgusting. The outcome even more. I needed money, but now I can't take it anymore. Suspiciously wealthy furries are the backbone to Rule 34 society. Suspiciously wealthy furries are the backbone of our whole goddamn economy. How do furries get so much money for everything? I am going to have to become one to find out. It's possible you still wouldn't. The more extreme furries tend to hide their identities, as far as I know. And I guess it's partly just, if you know regular porn won't satisfy you, you have to get things somewhere, so you make room in your budget for it. I was pretty young, like 12 or something, and I used to draw it when I was horny. That wasn't too often though, but it was interesting, weird and confusing. I didn't figure out myself yet. LOL. It took me years to notice I like to draw NSFW for its artistic and narrative value aside from titillating other people. And nowadays I'm trying to grow a NSFW Twitter account and see where it leads me to. Sadly, I haven't got tons of money from it. Just a few commissions. I've always wondered about the horniness levels of hentai artists. I assume for most it just becomes a job after a while. But if you're doing it for personal pleasure, how do you stay horny enough to finish the work? I feel like I would get halfway through, go jack off, and never touch it again. You know how you can just get lost in something if you really like doing it? Like when I first played bot, I just spent like 10 hours in that world and wondered where the time had gone. While I was just kinda walking around going one more location. That seems to be the same for artists. I frequently watch a few people drawing stuff and they have their no, I can't stop now, gotta draw more moments, where the picture itself isn't even the most important thing anymore. They just find tiny bits they want to improve or change up and don't even look at the entire thing anymore. I'd imagine it's the same for NSFW artists. Well, I got really horny, as expected. Really easy finding good references tbh. Damn. It's straight up like living a double life. I have a secret folder on my laptop filled with NSFW sketches that I've made of characters from my favorite anime's cartoons. I only draw these things when my girlfriend isn't at home, and if she comes home unexpectedly, I close everything down as quickly as possible so she doesn't find out. I've had a few close calls and she can probably tell I'm hiding something. Sometimes I even worry she thinks I'm having an affair, when in reality I'm just drawing smutty cartoon pictures. Talk to her. Hiding it won't end well. It's all good. I'll probably tell her at some point. For now it's just kinda nice having this weird hobby that no one else knows about. I know she'll be super cool with it. Probably tease me a little too. We're both into some super geeky stuff already, so I'm not worried about her having a bad reaction. It's just nice having this thing to myself for now. And well, I guess I'm a little embarrassed, but not necessarily ashamed, if that makes sense. I tried wording my post to come across as kinda funny, but reading it again I can see why so many people are writing concerned replies. I really didn't mean for it to sound that serious. Maybe this is why I should stick to making erotic fanart rather than writing fanfiction. Is there an appeal to the secrecy? Like, is that an end in itself? Or is it genuinely just like, God, I hope she doesn't find out? I just started drawing NSFW fan art as a kid and never thought it was a weird thing to do. As a kid, you what M8? Most furry artists who are already ducking talented are like 16-17 if not younger, coming from a guy who drew Kingdom Hearts yaoi from 13-14 for forums and commission, then graduating to hentai, BDSM, game porn. I finally stopped a couple years ago when I was 19, but the money was always a great boost. Not a porn artist, but once I was 14 and I drew a man and a woman having an intimate moment on a paper. Next thing I find are my drawings being organized on my desk. My mom had went through them. I'm glad she did though, because now she thinks I'm straight. Are you? Oh hell no. The big brain IQ bamboozler right here. Draws porn to make mom think they straight. Big brain. I was trying to do SMTH for my ex. I was getting into digital art for fun and I struggled with the human body and skin. So she told me to draw her from memory and I did, and she liked it. So she told me to draw stuff for her from time to time. Wattpad fanfics basically. She described the character and I would draw them and she'll be like, oh yeah, it's odd seeing a representation for KS hun. I felt awkward but it was hilarious too. I got off to my own shit and realized I had a destiny to fulfill. I got off to my own shit. You what M8? Halfway through I lost all horniness and it became about getting the proportions right. Tell me about it. Can't look at NSFW stuff without critiquing anatomy anymore. Okay, to be fair, I am definitely not a porn artist. I only draw it very occasionally, mostly to get over art block, for some reason. Just drawing funny poses without worrying about clothing folds is great for busting art block. But I do remember the first time I drew something very explicit instead of just some boobs or suggestive content. I drew it in a teeny tiny notebook when I was like 16. Just some normal anime porn stuff. And then I got so embarrassed that I hid it at the bottom of a drawer. And then, later, I found it again, in a completely different spot. My mom found it at some point. She must have. However, neither of us have ever brought it up. Years later, I still think about it sometimes. I have a character that's got tentacles for hair, no relation to Splatoon, and is a femboy. He is very popular with my circle of internet friends. They've all commissioned me several times to draw him in varying outfits, poses, scenarios, etc. He's basically the only thing that can break my art block for similar reasons to what you listed. I am 90% sure my mom saw a drawing I did of him on a scrap of paper from a downward angle from the back while his skirt got blown up. She hasn't mentioned it and I'm scared to bring up my art around her now because of how scared I am that she'll bring it up and I'll have to explain that some of my closest friends have essentially formed a religion based around my squid-haired femboyok. Important questions also for Rule 34 artists. How do you feel about people leaving horny comments about your art? Because everyone in Rule 34 is tired of seeing these comments. I take it as a compliment. It means I did a good job. It can get old but it's just part of it. Me. Checking the accounts of all the people who said they draw porn. Not an artist. But I have online friends who are digital artists and some of them draw Rule 34 drawings. They always share some of those arts with us and then express their embarrassment of drawing those. Can't really say. I had a commission one day, and I rarely get commissioned. That was futanery and my then husband came home, got a glance at my Wacom screen and simply shook his head. These days I get the usual questions of, don't you get aroused by your own art? Do you mind if I jacked it to your work? Understandable. Have a nice day intensifies. My mom was really angry because I drew a dog man with a 3-foot throbbing Jersey cock in graphic detail on the hood of her 1994 Honda Acclaim in the style of Lisa Frank. She's yelling incoherent nonsense at me, some shit about dude you're like 30 and get the duck out of my house. Yeah, WE mom. Last week was tough man. Pics or it didn't happen. Actually really interesting and such a great lesson on anatomy. You are a ducking liar. I've been on the internet long enough to know Rule 34 artists don't give two ducks about anatomy. Need to know the rules to break em. I drew Dr. Eggman in a flying dick machine. Honestly, I felt pretty accomplished. He pissed on the moon. You like that, Obama? You go from haha, I'm drawing boobs. Hope nobody finds this, to I've never drawn that kink before. Let's try it. Shockingly fast. Well, my buddy asked me to draw Hitler getting docked by big chungers. It's uploaded to my profile, you sick freaks. I need to see that masterpiece. Not Rule 34 but on DeviantArt people wanted me to draw feet. That was my last request. Seems extremely tame. I'm not really sure what R34 means in this context. It means if it exists, then there is porn of it. But contextually it's usually in reference to if this character exists or if this franchise exists. But I guess feet do exist, so it is R34. I don't draw too much anymore and I was never really a Rule 34 artist, but I drew boobs at age 13 on a sketch I was working on and my dick got hard. It's the simple things in life. In high school I started covertly taking NSFW commissions to make some easy money, and it was a lot of just contemplating whether or not it was worth it to draw yiff and weird anime shit, and basically questioning just what in the solar duck I was doing with my life. I was able to buy some sick video games with all that hentai dollar, but it did not make up for the pain of having to draw lewd furries. As someone who went to art school and had plenty of life drawing classes, pretty easy actually. After the first few nude studies you learn to embrace the nakedness. From there drawing full on sex is a breeze. I actually had more trouble writing erotica the first time. I was too scared to type out the word dick. Like God was going to break down my door and smite me for sinning. Not an artist but a friend of mine who's an artist was asked to do NSFW stuff. He said that it was weird zooming on a dick and kept cringing. But he endured the most part of it. He was getting paid after all. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.